Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Hoover High School Coaches Show. I'm Jeff Lloyd, along with the head coach of the Hoover Bucks, Chip English, and we're here at Buffalo Wild Wings, our new home for the Coaches Show, and also a new home for us on YouTube as well as the NFHS Network. And we're happy to have the coach here tonight, getting ready for the opening game of the season this coming Friday night at 7 o'clock at the Hoover Met. The opponent will be Muscle Shoals. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, Coach. But you had a Jamboree game last Friday. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts after that.
Well, the big thing was, we wanted to kind of go in and kind of see where we're at, both offensively and defensively. We played a lot of guys and tried to build that depth. But overall, guys were prepared. We went into the game pretty vanilla, obviously, but both offensive skill and defensive skill really played well. And what I like to see is, are we reestablishing the line of scrimmage? And I think both offensive line and defensive line did that for most of the night. Far from perfect, but definitely moving in the right direction, and it kind of got us geared up to play this week.
You dominated that game offensively and defensively. Is it difficult sometimes to make an assessment when you are that far in front?
No, I mean, throughout the game, we wanted to see certain things at certain times. And so it gave us an opportunity. Obviously, we work, midfield stuff. We work high red zone, low red zone. So throughout the game, we were evaluating the whole thing. How was our special teams? How was our defense when it's third and long? So all those little things we were kind of calculating throughout the game. So thankfully, we were up and guys played well. We were able to get ahead in the score, but really we were more focused on what was happening within the play each time and the situations that we were putting those guys in.
And as far as the eye test of what you saw with your eyes on Friday night, how's that different from when you go back and look at the video?
It's oftentimes different. Sometimes you think a kid plays really bad, or sometimes you think a kid plays really well. And you get back in film and you realize, it's not as good as what I thought it was, or maybe it's not as bad as what I thought it was. And but overall, the film was good. We had some guys up front, offensively and defensively, grade out really high from a quarterback room, and we were just above 70% completion, and guys were tossing it around pretty good. We hit 11 receivers, had receptions, and I think 5 backs carried the ball. We threw 6 touchdown passes from 3 of our quarterbacks. So a fun night. Guys got to go out and kind of get their feet wet and gain that experience. And it's just another step towards, when real play happens this week.
Let me ask you this question. We kind of posed this on our run through on the broadcast last Friday. A lot of people say that the biggest improvement is between game 1 and game 2. Do you count that as game 1?
You can, absolutely. I mean, you're putting kids in live situations. So we definitely viewed that as hopefully this week from last week into this week can be a big jump for us. And we feel like we're already 1 game in. So I sure hope that it's to our advantage.
We talked earlier before the Jamboree ball game, and you had indicated that you thought the strength of your team might be your running game, but it looked like you have a pretty solid passing game from what we saw on Friday.
Yeah, well, when we get the ball out of our hands quickly and into our playmakers' hands, and good things happen. And so while our running back room is very, very good and deep, some of our passes were 2 running backs. Our 2 longest throws last Friday were to the running backs. And so those guys get involved in different ways, and the passing attack is part of that. So real proud of them. But yeah, you want to be able to sling it around. The more we can throw it and gain first downs, the easier that run game becomes.
Yeah, I talked to you and asked you how you described this football team. If it was a young team, and you said, no, you wouldn't call it a young team. You'd call it an inexperienced team with older players.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at our roster, especially the starting lineups, you see a lot of juniors and seniors. But those juniors and seniors, our first-year starters. And so they're kind of the prototypical, hey, I'm working my way through JV. I've worked my way. Maybe I was a backup last year. I played special teams, and now this is my time to shine as a junior or a senior. So really proud of those guys. Sometimes, growth happens even when you're not, showcased on Friday nights. And those guys took a lot of pride in that development, and I think it'll show this year.
Tell us a little bit about what you expect from your team this year. Last year, 6-5, wanting to improve on that, obviously. And your region, I think, got tougher with Spain Park coming back in.
Yeah.
And it's going to be it's a very competitive region.
It is. My message has been clear from day one in regards to how you sustain success, and that's consistency. And how consistent can we be? One, staying healthy, and then two, our level of performance and focus. And so guys have done a great job this offseason of making sure we're fine-tuning the areas in which we struggled in last year. Our coaching staff has done a phenomenal job in our self-scouting and where can we improve, what do we need to focus on, all the way from what our summer runs look like, all the way back to Coach Halford in the weight room. Everything is calculated in the sense to provide more consistency physically and mentally through our play. So guys know where we need to work on, whether it be third down stops or third down conversions, high red zone, whatever that looks like. We have a plan in place, and really excited that what our coaching staff has going. And then obviously they have to teach it, and we're great teachers, and so our players / students, right, are picking up on that, and hopefully they can see the fruit of their labor, I guess.
Yeah, I know that you talked about inconsistency, and that was one of the bugaboos, if you will, last year, where you might have a great first quarter, but then not so much the second quarter, or good first half, not a good second half, and so on and so forth, or one game to the next. And that's one of the things you're trying to build this year, the consistency.
Yeah, we got to put a full game together, and then you got to put a full week together, and then you got to put 2 full ones together. And so it just builds and grows. And I told the guys yesterday, we're in a little bit of a heat wave, I guess you could say, this week. But we've done everything that we can to be successful. Not perfect, but we have put ourselves into, if we continue on this path, good things are going to happen. But there has to be a level of consistency. We got to stay healthy. We got to hold each other accountable and make sure we're moving in one direction. And up to this point, our guys have done that, and I'm really proud of that.
How do you handle the heat that you guys have been experiencing this week? Everyone's experiencing, but you're out there and it's on, I know you practice on the turf, and that is even hotter than if you're on grass.
It is. Our school and our new AD, Chris Blight, does a great job of making sure all of the memos from the state and all those guidelines are set in front of us, very, very clear in our big staff meeting at the beginning of the year. But then our athletic trainers, we actually plan practice and how we want to run things, and whether it be in just helmets, just shoulder pads. But the biggest thing that helps us is being able to go in the morning. I went to Dr. Sayers in the spring and said, hey, I need this for my football team. It's going to benefit us in the way we structure our day. She's been more than willing to do anything she can do to help the football program, and part of that is structure of when we get the kids. And so we get them in the morning, so 95% of what we do happens in the morning. We might bring them back for meetings or lifting, but they're out of the heat right now.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. Now, on the exhibition game or the Jamboree game, you had it in place that the quarterbacks were not going to be tackled.
Correct.
Because of that, we saw maybe more throwing than we would have or not. But the one thing that we didn't get to see is really Caleb Freeman in his element, because there's a lot of times he would have been able to run for much more yardage than a one-hand touch, right?
Yeah, me and Coach Parker from Bob Jones, we just decided before the game, hey, our quarterbacks are not going to be live, and that's to protect them and protect the team and all that. And both groups did a great job and the officials did a great job of protecting the quarterbacks. But yeah, there's going to be some elements. There's going to be some times where Caleb's going to be able to take off and get some yards. He's had some big runs in our scrimmages through fall camp where it's like, oh wow, he can really go. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be a part of his game, part of the way that we convert first downs and touchdowns. And so it's exciting to see. But we just played it safe the other night and made sure. And because of that, we didn't run it. We don't have design runs. that we used for him. There was a couple times where he got out of the pocket, he extended plays, he did some good things. But yeah, that's going to be in his toolbox.
Yeah, and he looked very sharp the other night passing the football. And being a senior, he has last year's experience to build on.
Yeah, that's the big thing. So, like at the quarterback position, each year you want the game to essentially get slower, right? So, as a sophomore, I'm sure the game was fast. As a junior, it slows down a little bit. As a senior, the goal is, and I think this is happening for Caleb, one, the understanding of what he's seeing defensively, and then two, understanding of the offense, which this is a newer offense for him. But he's picked it up great throughout the spring and the summer. But you want the game to really, really slow down. So when a sophomore is out there, it might be moving really fast for him. By the time he's a senior, it's almost like walking speed. And so I think that's part of his game now as far as his development, and the game is slowing down for him. And that allows him to be more accurate, make better decisions, and then ultimately lead our team to victory.
Well, he's one of the veterans that's coming back. Let's talk a little bit about the offense first, and then we'll look at the defensive side of the ball. But who are the people that you are having coming back, and who do you expect big things from this year?
Caleb obviously is one of them. Up front, you look at two of our returning starters, and Zachary Moore and Rocco Rousey. And then we have some other guys that gave some key minutes. Braylon Caribou is going to be big for us this year. He had a season-ending injury last year, but those three guys are anchoring it up front. Then we have a handful of other guys that are going to give us some really good plays, and they did the other night. From the wide receiver position, there wasn't much playing time. Jordan Ward got some touches last year and saw the field, but really there's not a ton of experience, and so those guys are new to it. But up front, we have those three guys that started last year, and then Caleb, and then our backs are really, really strong. The big thing with them is they did get some touches last year. I think both of them scored multiple touchdowns, so they got their feet wet, but they're really taking charge right now. So.
And on the defensive side of the ball, you have a little more depth there, do you not?
We do. And guys, we're still young in spots and still inexperienced spots. Like, for example, our linebackers, they're going to be really, really good this year. But both of them are first-year starters, and Connor Latham is going to be a junior and really good for us. And then Nathan Johnson's going to anchor it at that Mike position. He's going to be a first-year starting senior. He's one of those. But then in our secondary, Anquan Allen, you have DJ Walloon, Jordan Williams. Those guys are really going to anchor it back there. When a newcomer, Aiden Callens, has really, really shown a lot of promise. And then you go up front, Christian Harris is coming back, obviously our all-state defensive end, and Jovan Pulliam. And so those guys have just really kind of got comfortable with what they're doing. Coach Reeves and his staff is doing a great job on that side of the ball, making sure those guys are prepared and playing fast.
I've heard you make the comment, and I've read you making the comment that you've had people say that they compare this to some of the older teams or past Hoover teams because of how gritty they are.
Well, we've done, the staff and myself, we feel like we wanted to kind of get back. This is the 2026 Hoover football team. We're not trying to be like other people. We are who we are. But I think with what our guys' main focus is this year and how we play and how we lean on each other, we've had some guys come back from like the 2017 team. We've had some other guys. Ben Abercrombie's come back. William Eads, our offensive coordinator, he's back. And they've said multiple times, man, you got talent, but you don't have 25 superstars. You got guys that want to be out there. They want to, leave it better than they found it. They're gritty guys. They're talented, but they play fast. They play together, and they play for each other, which they reference those past teams.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Let's talk about your coaching staff, because you have some new look people there as well, and you've changed things. You mentioned William Eads. The two of you are kind of sharing those offensive duties, right?
Yeah, we are. I got back last year. I wasn't in a position room. This year, I took back over the quarterbacks, and so elevated Coach Eads to offensive coordinator, and he does a great job of getting us organized and kind of doing that. And yeah, me and him kind of lean on each other. Once game day happens, but he's done a phenomenal job. We sat down in the off season and rebuilt the offense, some of my stuff, some of his stuff, and really put it all together. So I'm excited about the product. Coach Pilkington, we moved from tight ends to wide receiver. Coach Phillips is a new coach at tight ends. Coach Floyd is doing our running backs now, and just really excited to kind of how the group has come together. And when we go in there on a Sunday and we prepare, a lot of good voices, a lot of football knowledge comes in there. So and hopefully the product will show that, right?
Mm-hmm. We're at Buffalo Wild Wings. This is our new home for the Coaches Show, and we want to invite you to come out and join us Wednesday night. I saw on Facebook that they said from 6 to 8, we're not going to have a 2-hour show, but the show will begin at 6:30, run to about 7 o'clock. But you're welcome to come and say hello to the coach, and he'll be around here a little bit afterwards. We want to tell you about Buffalo Wild Wings. Every night's wing night here, but they also have an extensive menu. And whether it's the appetizers, sandwiches, smash burgers, so on and so forth, we're going to get the wings and try that out again tonight. But we encourage you to stop by here to Buffalo Wild Wings, located right here on 150. Easy drive from the Met, from Hoover High School, and wherever you're coming from. So our thanks to Buffalo Wild Wings for hosting us tonight and for the rest of the season here on the Coaches Show. Well, Coach, you got some other coaches you want to acknowledge, I think.
Yeah, probably. Defensively, the big thing, and Coach Reeves is still our defensive coordinator, and he does a great job of preparing that. But we wanted to kind of bring a lot more experience in, and what that was with some of our secondary guys, some of our up-front guys. Coach Estes came in. He's a former head coach and coordinator. He came in. He's going to work with our defensive ends. Move Coach Edgar back to outside linebackers or strong safeties. Coach Franks has defensive coordinator experience that he came in. He's going to do our safeties. Got Coach Hamlin back. He was here at one point, but he's been a head coach and coordinator, so got him back at linebacker. So really just added a lot of experience, and that's what we wanted to do to make sure we're giving our kids the best opportunity and the best instruction to go out there and perform. So we do all the thinking, they do all the playing, and it's worked good so far.
One of the things you mentioned to me when we did meet earlier this month, you talked about you want your players to not have to think but react, and regardless of whatever the situation is, they're prepared for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, the big thing, so I described it like this. So if I'm preparing my lines for a play, if I'm worried about remembering my lines, I'm not a very good actor, right? But if I know my lines very well, like there's no issues with them, now my focus can be on the presentation, the acting ability, the emotions that go along with that. So if you look at it in a football sense, if I'm worried about where should I be, what's my pre-snap checks, how do I align myself, where's my apex point, am I a 4 technique here or am I a 5? All those things make you play slower. But if you know it like the back of your hand and you really, really are well-versed in it, you're able to just get there and play. And that's the goal with these guys. They've responded. We're about on our 4th, sometimes our 5th time of introducing, the play or the defense or the coverage, whatever it might be, from January all the way to now. So guys have really took ownership in their preparation and understands what it takes to get to the end of the week. And you will hear like safeties, hey coach, can we see that again? I need to make sure I'm fitting right. Or offensive line, hey coach, can we do that again? I want to make sure I'm seeing that linebacker scrape over the top. So guys that are starting to get really, really mature and understand the play, understand what it takes to prepare. They know what it takes, and so they're able to go out and play fast. And that's the goal. We don't want them to think. We want them to play.
And that's part of that process is slowing the game down.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It does for them.
Well, let's talk about your first ball game. You open up against Muscle Shoals.
Mm-hmm.
They're a 5A school, and we need to talk about that too, about the way everything's realigned. But
yeah,
they went undefeated during the regular season last year. They're a good football team, even though they're one step below where Hoover falls at 6A.
Yeah, with all the A's.
Yeah.
We went from 7A to 6A. Pretty much everybody just bumped down.
Yeah.
And so they're one classification lower than us, but yeah, they're a phenomenal team. They have a new head coach in Coach Darden. He does a great job. He's been a long-time offensive coordinator there, so I don't think a lot has changed. But yeah, each year they produce a lot of kids at the collegiate level, and then obviously they find ways to win. I think they went to the semifinals last year and lost to a really good Clay Chalkwell team. But they're going to come in ready to go. I think this is the first matchup ever between Hoover and Muscle Shoals. So we're excited. I'm sure they're excited to come down. I think our stadium got voted the best venue or best place to play in Alabama, which is really cool. So we're excited about having everybody come out this Friday, and it should be a really good game.
They are making the trip down, and they are, as we talked about, they finished, I think it was 12-1 last year. And as Coach mentioned, they were defeated by the eventual state champs. So they have some really good returning players from last year too.
They do. They got a transfer quarterback that came from Jasper, but they have several. Their linebackers are back. There are a couple guys in their secondary. They did lose some guys up front defensively, but when you're a program like that, typically the next guy up, just like us. Yeah. So we anticipate them to be very physical, play fast, understand play assignment football. They're not going to be all over the place. They're going to be a well-disciplined team, and so we each week for us is a big challenge, so we don't take anybody lightly. So we're going to have to go in there and play our game. And if we can play like we did last week and continue to grow and get better, I think we'll be okay.
The game that's this coming Friday at the Met, 7 o'clock is the kickoff, and we hope to see you out there. And it should be an interesting contest, to say the least. Coach, we talked about the offense. We've talked about the defense. We have not mentioned special teams, but they looked strong the other night.
They did. We went out and we actually didn't have the opportunity to punt, which was a little bit different. It's a good problem to have. But yeah, we showed several looks. Obviously, kickoff return, PAT field goal. We were 100% on that. The snap that got loose, our punter Grant Morrison actually picked it up, ran the fire play, and was able to convert the 2-point conversion. So that was exciting. Those situations are very, very rare, but you always prepare for them, and it showed in the Jamboree. So guys did a great job responding and understanding, and that only gets deeper as you go throughout the season. And obviously we're going to have to lean on those guys and Grant Morrison and changing the field position.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to lean on him with that. And then, Steel Witchy doing the kicking. And so we got a deep room in the kicking room, which I'm excited about. Guys, there was a lot of guys the other night that put the ball through the uprights. And so when you got guys that can put points on the board, they have a lot of value. And so really excited about them. Austin Harrell's our special teams coordinator, and then Coach Franks also is the assistant special teams coordinator. And I've took an interest this year and made sure that I'm in all those meetings and really feel good about the product that we're going to put out on the field. And so I want to win games on special teams. And I told Coach Harrell and the specialists that I don't just want to get by. I don't want to, just kind of go through the motions and just hope something bad don't happen. No. We're going to win games using our special teams this year. I fully believe that, and the guys are preparing to do that.
Have you found a long snapper? I know that was one of the things you were looking for.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of people come out and try and feel like we have a good situation with a couple guys in that. Obviously, the short snaps for PAT field goal and stuff is a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but you can use a center that we have, Houston Fulton and a couple others. But Dominic Anderson, actually, Lincoln's little brother, has just stepped into that role. And he's also going to play some offensive line for us and does a good job with that. So, the transition's there. And really excited for Lincoln. Got a call last week. I think he's probably going to see some playing time at Florida this year. So excited for him, but also for Dom and what he can provide for our team. So he's going to step into that role after a 3-year starting spot that Lincoln, his older brother, had.
Are you chomping at the bit for Friday night?
I am. When you get to this point in the year, you feel like you're ready. You feel like your guys are prepared. They're excited. We're excited. And so you're waiting for that moment to get in there, and once the ball's kicked off and the lights come on and we're sweating and we're in the game, that's an exciting feeling. That's a lot of coaches, I'm sure, are very, very anxious right now, ready to get to that moment. And once you do, now you're in a rhythm, and now you're playing the game, you're going through, and everything kind of hopefully goes well for you.
Yeah. Well, we hope to have a victory after Friday night's game. We'll be back here next Wednesday for the Coaches Show, and we'll talk about that. We might even have the highlight or two to show you. The Bucks will be hosting Muscle Shoals this coming Friday night at the Hoover Met. And get there early and enjoy the atmosphere and take it all in. And the kickoff is scheduled for 7 o'clock. Coach, as always, I appreciate
Yes, sir.
our time together, and we look forward to many more this year.
That's right.
That's going to wrap it up for us tonight here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Come by and say hello to them and let them know you appreciate them hosting our program. And we hope to see you out here next Wednesday night as we'll be back here with the Coaches Show. For Coach English, I'm Jeff Lloyd, and for our crew, thank you so much for joining us. So long.
Go Bucks.